We're rolling. Hajime Mashte. Bloody hell. I thought talking to people in Europe was, this is a new thing, isn't it? Hey, this is just unreal. Anyway, before my ego gets the better of me, sayonara. I'll have to remember that one. Right, so this was your original post. C25 with a U25 engine. Okay, so stop solenoid. That was my first fault, which I've shared you a link to, and bleeding. So Japan, my mum would be so proud. Okay. So you've got a U25 engine. Looks like turbo diesel. Turbo diesel. Ooh. Blimey. They're very rare here. So you've got an electric pump going to the wrong filter primer. Okay. So that setup there is screaming blocked filter in the tank. Okay, so what you're saying is there was no lift pump. Primer pump, sorry. Primary pump. And the one that injected fuel, the injector pump, right. So you've cleaned the fuel filter, and then the engine no longer starts. Tried opening the injector. Pump nipple. No. The injector pump doesn't have a nipple. I would like some tips. Okay, so let's get a few things straight. So your English is obviously a lot better than my Japanese. So, priming diesel engine. All right, good morning, Black Bottom Campus. All right, Jojo, camera's on, mate, camera's on. I learnt... All right, so I'll have to turn that down. So the injector pump is at the back left of the engine. So low fuel pressure goes to that, and then it's increased to, almost 2,000 psi. Once it goes to the injectors. So what you have at the front, which is in your picture, is what they call a fuel filter housing with primer. There. Okay. So the easiest way to show you is that's the injector pump at the front left, injector pump front left. On the U25 it's back left, and it has the 4 solid metal pipes. Yeah, that's it, diesel injector pump. Okay, so that's what you need to put it back to original. £46. Okay, you could use something like that. You could go to a breaker's yard, a scrap yard. But you really need one with a primer on it. Yours is, for want of a better word, overkill. So even though you've got a little 12-volt trickle pump, that gold thing which is going click, 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 I'm wondering if it's because someone's put a fuel pressure regulator on the other side. Now, in this country, if you have an electric pump, I keep telling this to people, I call it a knock, yeah, inertia switch fuel pump. Okay, so you really need to fit something like that. In this country, it's law. If it's fitted after a certain date, not to a vehicle of a certain date, so they have to be put on by the manufacturer. But if you fit an electric pump to a vehicle that didn't have an electric pump when it was made, then you have to fit one of them by law. So anyway, that's not your problem. So if you can sort the problem, and you want to put it back to original, so fuel tank and sender unit removal. Okay, oh, did I turn it down?
Been a bit of discussion about tanks.
Right, so fuel tank and sender unit removal. I'm not going to go and look through the you go and look through the links, but it will take you to this. Now, that was a brand new sender unit, diesel. That's diesel, and petrol have a little lobster pot on them like that. Okay, so I advise removing them, and on petrol putting an inline filter, which you can see in the picture just next to the play thing. Diesel, you can get diesel inline filters, they're different, but obviously you don't need one really, because you've got one fitted. But if you did want to put one in, normally I cable tie them just under the battery tray so that they're horizontal, and then that way you can see it catch any rubbish. If you leave them vertical, all the rubbish will go down the pipe as soon as you turn the vehicle off, or well, I'll stop waffling. Okay, so my guess is, so that was fitted with a brand new tank, brand new sender unit. 1 month later, driving down the road, lack of power. Started up, and was all lovely, but as soon as they try to drive it, no power. Now that is the rust from the filler pipe, because obviously they didn't change that. Now, if you've got this set up in your picture and you're still not getting fuel, my money will be on the tank filter blocked. Have you removed the pipe nearest us from the pump, trickle pump? Have you removed that with the ignition on, and are you getting fuel from there? Okay. If you're getting fuel going in there and you're getting fuel coming out the other side, but you're not getting fuel coming out the injectors,
Right, rolling? Yeah, right, sorry about that. Turn the camera off by mistake.
then you need to remove the stop button from there. That's a Lucas. There's Lucas or Rotor diesel, two injector pumps, but I'm pretty sure I explain in here how to get it off. Get a spanner. If you can't get a socket the right size. Why is it not letting me? Yeah, you get a spanner at an angle, yeah. So, if in doubt, take the wire off it, ignition on, touch the wire on it. If you don't want to unbolt it, you can snip the wire, or you can take a live directly from the snip the wire and reconnect it. Or you can just take a live directly from the battery and touch it on the tip where the wire is. And if it doesn't click, then it's definitely 100% knackered. If it is clicking and you're still not getting fuel, you need to take it out and make sure it hasn't stuck down. It could be a case, I doubt it very much, but, you know, I have seen them rusty, blah, blah, blah. Now, you're telling me that you've undone I tried opening the injector pump nipple to bleed air, but no fuel came out. Okay, so are you calling that the injector pump? Even though I can't see any nipples on there. So I don't know what you mean by injector pump nipple. Yeah, it's a tricky one there. See, this is like so there's no bleed nipple on there, and then I'm assuming that you're going in this side and coming out the other side through the fuel pressure regulator and straight to the injector pump. Where's this bleed nipple that you talk about? So that pipe should go straight to the injector pump, and then if you crack an injector from the pipe that goes to the back of it, you don't have to undo it completely, just crack it and then give it sort of quarter to half of a turn, wind the engine over, and then you should get diesel out of the, it doesn't even have to be spurting. As long as you get diesel running out of there, that'd be good enough. Now, what I'll do, I'm going to put electrical. I told you your English is better than my English. Inject electrical issues, yeah? So up will come my latest post. First one is earthing issues. Now, there's a wire. There you go. So that red wire. Oh. Yeah, so the red wire that comes up with the big green wire from the starter motor, you can undo that, and or just strip a little bit of it and touch that to the battery, and that'll wind it over. As long as you've got the ignition on, the stop solenoid should be open, and you crack the injectors from the pipe, which is on the back of the injector, wind it over, and you should get fuel out. Once you've got fuel out of that, you've bled the system. Do you see what I mean? Now, have to excuse me, that's things outside eating stuff. It's the mices. Right, so if you remove the pipe from the diesel filter, the one with the gold trickle pump, I call them, because they only give a small amount. It's not a high pressure, it's a trickle pump, yeah? So, if you remove that from there with the ignition and then get someone to turn the ignition on, and you've got fuel coming out of there, put it back onto the filter. If you haven't got fuel coming out of there, you need to remove the tank and check the sender unit, okay? So that is your fuel sender unit. That sends a signal to the speedo cluster, and la-di-da-di-da. So that's the first thing. If you remove I'm going back over it again, because, you know, people say I waffle on, but at the end of the day, I had to go over and over again. Okay, so that gold thing is a fuel pump, a low pressure trickle fuel pump. Somebody's fitted that because they were struggling to get fuel from the tank, yeah? Now, there's only two reasons you'll struggle to get fuel from the tank. One, you've got a split in the pipe, so you're drawing air. Two, the filter's blocked. The filter on the sender unit. So that should be pulling fuel from the tank. Click, 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 click. And it's filling the filter housing, yeah? That's the bit that's bolted to the front, to the slam panel, or screwed. Once it gets into the filter housing, there should be a bleed nipple on the other side somewhere, which I don't see that you have, but you wouldn't really need a bleed nipple if you've got a trickle pump. You've then got a pressure regulator on the back. Again, I can't see a nipple. I can see your red wire though there. So the red wire is right near the end of your spanner. That's the one that you'd need to touch to the battery to get it to turn over. So if that's filling up, which it looks like it is, but you're calling that the injector pump. I tried opening the injector pump nipple. Okay, all I can think of is at the moment, Lucas injector pump. Is that you might be mistaking something on the injector pump for being a bleed nipple. Possibly that one there on the top there. I haven't got a injector pump to look at the minute. But once the fuel goes into the injector pump, there is no bleeding. Once you got it going from the filter without any air in it, there is no bleeding. All you do is you undo the oh, so I thought. So yeah, you got Rotor Diesel, Bosch or Lucas. Bosch, I don't believe is on the U25. Bosch is the XUD engine. Right, okay. There's only one photo. Okay, if you could get me a picture of if you're confusing oh, that's a Rotor Diesel, isn't it? If you're confusing the filter with being the injector pump, that might be the thing. But anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get off of this now because that's distracted me a little bit too long. So, okay, so, yeah, that's... Right, so that's a setup. That someone had just fitted that, and they put the bleed nipple, so you can just see the bleed nipple. There, I've just pointed to it. They put the bleed nipple on the wrong side, okay? So that's the bleed nipple on the fuel primer pump. But it's a fuel filter housing which has a primer built into it, priming pump. So it's a primer pump fuel filter housing, or fuel filter housing with a primer pump. That's what it is, yeah. So that's the only nipple that you would touch to need to bleed. Once you've bled the filter housing with the primer or your electric click, 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 click pump, then that's it. Once it's in the injector pump is self-priming, and then it'll spit any air out that'll come out of the injector pipes, which you only have to undo at the back. Sometimes, depending, sometimes you have to crack them at the back of the injector pump, but I've never had to do that. That's the metal pipes going from injector pump So easiest one to look at is there. So you've got the 4 metal pipes coming out the back of the injector pump, going to the injectors, and you just crack them and then turn them quarter to half a turn. You can do one at a time, or you can do all 4 at the same time on these. It doesn't matter. A lot of the new electric fly-by-wire pumps, they won't bleed like that. But anyway, you don't have that problem. U25, the injectors come at the back of the engine there, and the pipes come in the back. Okay, so first things first, just clarify just that you have fuel coming click, click, click into the aluminium filter housing. That's filling up. You've got fuel coming out the back through the pressure regulator, and as far as you know, you've got fuel then is going to the injector pump. If that's the case, you need to get a wire directly from the positive red of the battery There's gravity feed, that's another option, but we won't come to that yet. You shouldn't need to. And then you take your red wire from the battery directly to the stop solenoid. Which is there. The green thing with the little thread sticking up, it'll have a wire going to it. Don't have to take the wire off. Take a positive or any colour wire, doesn't matter. Take it from the positive of the battery straight to the top of there. That little threaded part next to the play arrow. Touch it on there. Click. Off. Click. On, off, on, off. Every time you touch it, you should hear it click. Yeah? If it's clicking and you still don't have fuel coming out the back, it could be stuck down. You can remove it, you can take the plunger out, you can put it back together. Be very careful, don't get any dirt in there. La-di-da-di-da. So, if it's not clicking, you can take the plunger out. You've just got to stall the engine. That's what you've got to be careful. You've got to stall the engine. That will eliminate. Anyway, if that's working fine and you don't have any fuel coming out the back, then you've got an internal right. If everything's working, you've got fuel being delivered to your fuel filter by the click, click, click pump. And you've taken the stop solenoid that is working, click, click, click. You've taken it apart out to make sure that the plunger's not stuck down and it's still not working. there's 2 timing belts. One drives crankshaft, oil pump and cam. One drives cam to injector pump. That belt could have snapped. But you're saying it's only happened since you run out of diesel. Yeah? So sorry, I was just looking there to see if it's see if it might have shown injector pump. But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on. What I need you to clarify. Oh. Is that you have fuel coming up from the gold click, click, click pump into the filter housing, out of the filter housing, and then if you go to the injector pump and take that pipe off the other end near the injector pump, you've got fuel pumping through there. If you haven't, you need to take the tank off. If you have, you need to do the test on the stop solenoid, okay? So, lots there. You might want to get a pen and paper, but sender unit, that covers tank removal. Priming diesel engine. Shows you how to prime it with the proper thing there. Gravity feed, you don't really need to get into that, because if you've got fuel coming up, so the first thing to do is see if you've got fuel coming up from the tank, yeah? If you haven't, diesel engine won't start. And then if you go through that, take the stop button off, do whatever, then you've got to take the top timing belt cover off to make sure that timing belt hasn't broken. I mean, the chances of that is very slim. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it's either going to be a stop solenoid issue or it's going to be a gunk in the tank issue. But anyway, I think I've gone over that enough times. Pen and paper. And electrical issues will bring up the earthing issues. That's the first post, and that'll show you with the wire. But it's quite easily visible in your picture. So I'm going to stop waffling on. I've probably said that about 5 times now. I'm not going to try and pronounce your name. It looks like, wow, it looks like a tree next to a building. Not sure what that's seconding. And then it looks like a person in a wheelchair. And then 2 people fighting. I'm not sure what the one is next to, but yeah, absolutely amazing. Anyway, right. Hope that helps. Cheers and sayonara. Any more help you need? Just obviously I've uploaded this to YouTube. You'll know that. Right. Okay. So if you do crack the injectors, if you go to the vehicle and you crack the back of the injectors where the metal pipes come out of the injector pump at the back of the engine. Follow them obviously up to, and if you crack the injectors and you are getting diesel out of there, actually I'll tell you what I'll do. So diesel engine won't start, should cover glow relay.
Checking my torches on. Right, I'm just making this video for your fuel pump.
Okay, so it does show glows here, but if you put because I had one here the other day, it was a Sofim engine, top left in the engine identification pictures. Garage of Tarzan, 300 quid, said the engine was going to have to come back apart, and it was glow plugs were no good. So yeah,
and one wire will go off. Unplug that. Up the inlet manifold. Take the inlet manifold.
oh yeah, and when you are working on the vehicle, unplug the glow relay.
Put the hairdryer in there for about 10 minutes until this is
because
warm to the touch, and then that will start. Because it just needs to be warm here. I didn't know that. Oh, I love the scrap heap challenge.
I don't think that does show out of test. But yeah, yes it does, yeah. So when you're working on the motor, and if you've got a fuel issue, unplug that, okay? So the 4-pin plug that goes to the glow relay, unplug it, because every time you turn the vehicle on, you will drain your battery. But like I say, if you've got a fuel delivery issue, that's how to run through the fuel delivery. If you find out that if you go straight to the vehicle, tomorrow or whenever, today, well, no, I don't know what the time difference is over there, but yeah, if you go to the vehicle, crack the injectors at the back, and you wind it over with the ignition on, and you get fuel coming out, spitting out the back there, you've got a glow relay issue, yeah? Okay? But, like I say, because it's just the way I've read your post, it's la-di-da, but it's weird, you know, as long as it's took me to think and go over and repeat and then think I've got over and then I've got to repeat, and then as long as it's taken all that time, I could have probably told you, if I was there, I would know what was wrong with the motor in that half an hour, you know what I mean? But anyway, I'm going to stop waffling on again. Any more problems, come back, reply to my comments so that it highlights my name, and then anything else that you need to know, I should be able to cover. But anyway, hope that helps. Sayonara.